Hello everyone, my name is Zoe Harding and I'm the Commercial Manager at ADISA Certification, and today we are joined by Paul Mills, who is the Quality Assurance and Compliance Manager, and Steve Turberfield, the Corporate Account Manager at OCM Business Systems Limited. They have just been awarded ADISA ITAD Essentials Certification, which is a global standard that evaluates how well an IT asset disposition company manages the key risks in the core ITAD process. So over 2 days, ADISA's auditors and analysts assessed 21 critical risk areas across 5 key principles, which are logistics and collection, data sanitization, asset management, chain of custody, and physical security and process control. This certification provides third-party validation to OCM's risk management practices, enhancing credibility and trustworthiness within the industry. On day 2, the Ellison test was conducted by ADISA's forensic analysts, and the test is a forensic level evaluation of data sanitization capabilities. So passing the Ellison test demonstrates a commitment to secure data disposal and should provide clients with confidence in those services. You actually receive a certificate and a test report separately for your clients to show them that yes, our data sanitization products were tested and so were the processes, and here is the proof. So congratulations to you both on your silver certification under the ADISA ITAD Essentials standard. And do you want to start by giving us a quick overview of OCM and your roles there?
Sure. So OCM has over 35 years history in the IT industry, recycling computer equipment. We've been building on for a long time on services, data wiping, data destruction. Reusing the equipment is primarily our business. So the Ellison test for us was a fantastic tool to be able to demonstrate and prove our services in the data erasure system, and just showing that yes, you know, we're not just taking a word of the erasure software itself. We're actually saying no, look, we're analysing this to a sort of forensic level to ensure that it isn't just erased. It's fully gone, and we're not just assuming the claims the manufacturers or suppliers are just claiming or testing to.
Yeah, I think that's one of the real benefits of the Ellison test. It's making sure that you can actually prove that it's not just the process, it's not just the products, it's actually how it's all working and how you're choosing to operate.
So I deal with a lot of the corporate accounts here, and obviously predominantly my role is to make sure that there's 4 key elements from my side is that they look at, and that's A, value in terms of the costs and the value we're attributing back. Sustainability, social values become very important, but obviously ultimately it's processing their hardware, how we process it, how we transport it, how we then obviously report, and reports become massive from my side. Managing reports, managing asset reports, disposal certificates,
yep.
Then obviously more importantly the data cleanse, etc., etc. So for me, Paul then coming to us and saying we need this ADISA accreditation now, I think it just backs up even more and gives us more credentials out there to say that we are doing it right. So for my corporates who probably don't know a lot about ADISA,
yep.
I can now go in and talk about ADISA with your help, and just give them more reassurance to back up what we're already doing, which we believe. You know, we say believing you're doing something very, very good, but have your obviously credentials backing that up is fantastic.
Yeah, there's a real difference between getting something verified by an independent third party and just doing your internal audits, and sometimes it's not even a bias that you're aware of. You assume that processes are in place because they're the things that you're working on every day, and sometimes just to have things documented and to have someone come in externally and verify that is the way that you're operating, it goes a great way for customer assurance.
For that reassurance, to have that reassurance, and then to be able to talk about, and this is something that's coming up in a lot of the contracts I'm looking at, the social value element. The back end of it, what can we do with the IT? How can we give back? What can we do for charities? But if you haven't got the starting point, which is the processing of the IT hardware, we've got nowhere to go with it, really. So yes, it's huge from my side in terms of the business.
Fantastic. And you mentioned the value of the Ellison test. How did you actually find the certification process, sort of from application to audit, and what stood out to you on the audit days? We could talk particularly about the Ellison test, or just about the audit in general.
The real challenge, I think, with anything like this is we all know our business so well, but being able to actually get that down into some format that somebody else can look at it and go, well, okay, I can see how that works. That's the real challenge. Because doing the job day in, day out, oh, it goes to A, then process B. And if there's a fault with it, well, we do this. But if someone maybe has to go through to see D before it can go to C because of the way something works. Mm-hmm. And having that ability to actually, that's the number one challenge, really, is that ability to get it down on paper and then be able to walk it through. So the first conversations I had with the ADISA, there was definitely a lot of ambiguity in terms of, well, how does that actually work? And I said, well, we've got this system here that enables this piece of information to be, and it's like, and that have been sort of excluded because we just take it for granted. And then obviously when the auditors, were here, it's then a case we walk them through the process and say, well, here you go to here, then we're here, and it just makes it all. So the process itself, it is very in depth. It is not a walk in the park, but it is very rewarding, and it really makes you look at the business and the process that you have in place, and makes you think about, well, am I definitely doing this the right way? Can I improve anything? And the auditors are there. Obviously, they're not consultants. They can't consult and give you advice, but they can just ask the questions. Why do you do that? And then you can then reflect on it and say, that is a good question. I don't know why we're doing it that way. We should maybe look at it this way. So there is a definitely value-added process to the entire audit.
I really like the evaluation on site, because there is an element of, well, you're doing this every day. What happens if this happens? Do you have a process for it, or are you finding that you treat it differently every time? If it's treated differently every time, is there an added risk? Or if it's documented, is it something you can fall back on? And I think that there's when you have a certification that looks at just risk, there is that ability to step back as a company and say, well, it's secure, but why are we doing it like this? And I'm sure that. How did you find the Ellison test on day 2?
That we had quite a lot of faith in our process already, because the software products we use and the hardware that we physically have for physical instruction, we were very happy that what was going on there was maybe not as secure as we could make it, but it was very good, and we had a lot of faith in the products. So actually going through it, the key thing was we realised that actually, if something finishes and it's failed, the fact that we can identify that something has failed to erase, that is actually a pass through the Ellison test, which was something that took a minute, because we thought, well, surely if we fail, that fails the test. Because it doesn't. What it is, we are saying, no, we have the experience that we're erasing, but if something fails, we're identifying the failure, and we can just report. And that's part of the reporting back to the clients at the end of the day. It's all very well taking 100 drives out, but if you erase 90 of them and 10 for whatever reason don't get erased, that's a data risk for the client, and that's something that we can never have.
Yeah, it's all about working through the processes of if there is a failure, how are you choosing to deal with it? I used to, if you were to go on and then sell those data bearing assets, that would be a fail, I believe, under any certification doing any sort of data in the world. But it's really looking at the operational process of what do we do then? Is that something that's written down? Is it a procedure? I completely agree with you. That's one of the big strengths of the certification, and leads on to my next question. You have other industry certifications under your belt already. How did you find that the ITAD Essentials framework differed?
So the ISOs are very general to and you can fit them to any business realistically, whereas the ADISA ITAD Essentials is specific to what we do as a company, as OCM. It looks at the collection on site, what happens when the driver arrives or drivers arrive, how is it loaded onto the vehicle. If we have multiple collections on the same vehicle, are we able to segregate those loads? We don't generally do that, but it's one of the things, controls we have to have in place. Then you walk it through the process in terms of what happens when it arrives, how are we verifying that the data is secure within our own facility, which we were very happy with already. And then it's just walking through the process itself. But it's I say, it's very specific to the processes, and whereas the ISOs are very general terms. So yes, they have all the controls. You can put all the policies in for business continuity, all that sort of thing. But the ADISA ITAD Essentials looks specifically at our core business model.
I think from I wasn't involved in the actual process from the audit side, but my input at the start was that we've been trying to, over the last 12 to 24 months, put these vigorous things in place to make sure that our corporate. So I was speaking out with the corporate, seeing what they wanted or how they wanted it. So I was saying, let's see where we're at. It was more, where are we at? Are we where we believe we are?
Yeah.
So to you guys to come in and then say, right, you know what, you're doing that right, that right, that right. The process is right. Little things need tweaking, but it was quite reassuring to see that most of the things that we've already got in place, and that's Paul's hard work with the compliance, and then probably on the back of the ISO stuff. But like Paul said, it's very specific to what we're trying to achieve for our corporates here. So it certainly backed that up.
And thank you so much for your time with this interview, and that's really great. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much.